Ireland's nightclubs are likely to see their opening hours extended to 6 a.m. You can serve drink till 5 a.m. and dance until 6 a.m. This is under new plans being brought to Cabinet by the Justice Minister Helen McEntee. It's a change of the licensing laws as well as the change to nightclubs. Pubs will now be able to stay open 7 days a week till 12:30 a.m. At the moment it's 11 on Sunday closing time, and Monday to Thursday it is 11:30. Now it'll be across the week. It'll be 12:30. Jonathan, we were speaking about this in the last hour. You have reservations about this.
Well, look, the licensing laws are archaic. We know that. They needed reform and have desperately done so for years. We got rid of Good Friday. We got rid of Holy Hour. Michael McDowell tried to introduce a bistro outdoor culture that COVID finally introduced there about 2 years ago. But the concern that I have is if you leave nightclubs open until 6 o'clock in the morning, you will end up with an inevitable clash with another section of the economy. People who are making deliveries, people who go to work early, like coming in as myself and Shane and the team on Newstalk Breakfast did this morning. It's not ideal to try and conduct business while people are falling out of nightclubs.
While those young people are out enjoying themselves.
I'm sure they are, but at the same time, it's
very old, Jonathan.
I am very old. To be fair, both of us, middle-aged men, it's like bald men fighting over a comb, having a discussion about nightclubs. But I'm looking at it from the perspective of other businesses. But then you have to factor in, there's not as many nightclubs left as there used to be before. Who's going to do this? Are they going to have to pay an inordinate amount of insurance to keep it open? I'm sure it's lovely in theory, but in practice, is it actually going to happen?
Well, I'm sure some people will, and some places will open, and I think we've got to trust people to be adults. And I think that the licensing laws, as is at the moment, are overly restrictive. Telling people you can't have a pint after 11 o'clock on a Sunday or 11:30 on a Thursday night, I think is over the top and a little bit, I hate using the term nanny state, but it is a little nanny status. And I agree with you about nightclubs. I haven't been in one since the 28th of March 1998.
That's a distinct memory. Clearly something happened on that date.
I was at a stag in Glasgow, and I looked up the date because I remembered the match we went to a Celtic game, and I vowed never again. But look, if people want to go out and dance till 6 in the morning, what's the difficulty with that, Jonathan? I don't see the problem.
There is no difficulty with it, but if everybody comes out, if 2 or 3 nightclubs spill out at the same time, that always causes a problem. That's what's traditionally caused problems. If all the pubs close at 12:30, you've got an issue that everybody comes out and they're in the queue for chips and they have fights.
I've heard this staggered argument before. I'm not sure how you manage a staggered argument. But anyway, look, let us know what you think. 53106 at a cost of 30 cents. Let's bring in Sunil Sharp, spokesperson from the Give Us the Night campaign. It would seem the government is about to give you the night, Sunil.
Yeah, they're going to give us part of the night, most of the night, I'd say
6 a.m. That's pretty much all the night.
It's most of the night. It's most of the night as we're used to here anyway. I mean, we had slightly later opening back in the day, and certainly going back to the days of Leeson Street and that era. But we haven't had late nights in Ireland in the best part of 2 decades now, really, And, the changes that are being reported so far, they do seem a little bit safe versus what they could be, but it's definitely a step in the right direction.
Why do you say safe?
A moderate enough reform overall. But any reform is positive at the moment, and we are thankful that people will be able to.
Why do you say safe? Sorry, Sunil, why do you say safe?
Because they could go later than that again. Also, there are elements of this.
7 a.m., 8 a.m. Sorry, I'm just curious. Sorry to cut across you, but like when you say late, I mean, are you talking about nightclubs being open until 9 a.m. in the morning, or is that?
Yeah. I've come out of nightclubs over the last few weekends in Amsterdam, in Berlin, in Athens, and in each case, those nightclubs either went till 9 or 10 a.m. or had the ability to or chose to run later. So the idea that you would have curfews in the first place, it's a thing in some countries. In most others at the moment,
tried it in the UK, the 24
the ability to go to what time they choose.
24. Sorry, Sunil, if I could just ask a question. 24 hours in the UK, they tried a 24-hour drinking. It didn't work. It was messy, and they backed off.
Who says it didn't? Well, you need to kind of get some of this right as well. Who said it didn't work? First of all, what it did was...
The government, and they backed away from it.
Do you know how many people took that up? Do you know how many people actually availed of a 24-hour licence? Approximately 5% of all licence holders, the majority of which are off licences. So it's a tiny percentage of pubs, and even a smaller percentage, even less than 1%, of late night venues and nightclubs who actually avail.
Does that not confirm the point that it didn't work?
24-hour licensing means a blank canvas, and that you get to choose your own times that suit you as a business and your patrons. That's all that is. And the point I'm making is that by having curfews, which we still want to do here, which is fine, like I said, it's positive, it's a step in the right direction. Overall, it's a moderate change. It's not everything that it could be, but we welcome it at this point.
Okay, bear with us for Sunil. I want to bring in Dr. Garrett McGovern, GP specialising in addiction medicine and medical director of the Priority Medical Clinic in Dundrum. Garrett, what's your take on these proposals?
Well, look, I mean, there's two sides to this. I understand absolutely what's happened over the last few years in relation to the entertainment industry and this hospitality industry in this country, and I can understand that this will come down to money. I know people will say, "Oh no, it's practical and it's right." I can only look at it from, I suppose, a health point of view, and I just think we drink too much in this country as it is. We've already got enough problems as it is. And I know people will say, well, I would say that because of the profession I'm in. I've no problem with nightclubs staying open until 6 in the morning or 8 in the morning, but there are going to be a lot of people drinking till 6 in the morning. And I probably have a problem with that. And I know people will say, well, is this the granny state, as you said, at the top of the piece? But I'd largely think we kind of need to make inroads into our consumption in this country, and this is going in the opposite direction.
So on balance, you'd think not the right move?
I don't think so. I mean, I don't know what the international evidence is in relation to it, but I would imagine it will mean more drinking, and probably at the wrong time. I mean, most people who drink till 6 in the morning are going to be drinking well over what they should be drinking. Now, a lot of people will say, so what? We see the impact of that, unfortunately, and hospitals see the impact of that. There's a huge problem with alcohol in this country. And a lot of people don't realise that culturally we have a huge problem with alcohol, and this is just feeding into that, in my view.
Okay, lots of text coming through in this great call. Nonsensical point about nightclubs spilling out at the same time at 5 a.m. or 6 a.m. By that time, the crowd is split and most people have gone home already. But another listener says, how can we be discussing Ireland's issue with alcohol and at the same time be considering opening pubs at 10:30 a.m. and serving alcohol till 5 a.m.? Surely this is a recipe for disaster for our problem drinking culture. By the way, I do drink and I'm not anti-drinking. Sunil, if you're still there, do you understand those concerns as expressed by Garrett there about the amount we drink in this country?
Of course, absolutely. And I mean, it will be. It's a cult. There's a number of cultural shifts that are going to occur as this change comes in. I think venues are going to have new responsibilities. I think they have to accept that there will be some people that will come in earlier in the night and stay till later in the night. It's our view that those people will be in a small minority. Generally what people want, and it's one of the reasons why people are swerving Irish nightlife, is they want to be able to go out at a certain time and choose the time that they socialise between. So I think you'll have more people that may go out at 1 or 2 a.m. and then decide to stay to a club till 5 or 6 a.m. I think at the moment what's being proposed is that alcohol will be served till 5 a.m. and then I'd like traditionally that drinking up time maybe to be known as dancing up time. You know, we've spoken about this in the campaign, and we like the idea that there's a prolonged time there at the end where people can just concentrate on the dancing side of the night. I mean, I do think venues will need to undertake mandatory training on patron safety and vulnerability, and there should be a big emphasis on club health in general. Okay. Free water as well should also be legislated for, in our view, too. So, I mean, there are people that are working on this. I'd like to think that we've turned the corner in terms of harm reduction as well in this country. So I think we're moving in a more progressive direction in that regard. But in relation to what Garrett's saying about A&E services, that is a side that many of us don't see, and it's definitely not something that we're overlooking either.
All
and
right.
I think
let me bring Garrett back in there. Garrett, are you reassured by that, or do you feel like this is just going to lead to more drinking, bottom line?
Yeah, I mean, Sunil's raised a very good point, and that is we we still serve, and this is across the board, and this is at any time. This is not specific to this issue of changing licensing laws. We do still serve to people who are intoxicated in this country and have done for many, many years. I think we need to tighten that up, whether it's by the legally or whatever it is. It's just wrong to continue to give someone who is drinking far too much more alcohol, and we do it an awful lot up and down this country every weekend, and we shouldn't do it. I am encouraged by that, because that sort of, in other countries they call it nightclub health or whatever. We need to really train staff. I am certainly encouraged by that, but I just think serving alcohol till 5, I have huge reservations about that, I must say.
Okay, all right, we will leave it there. Dr. Garrett McGovern, GP, specialising in addiction medicine, and Medical Director of the Priority Medical Clinic in Dundrum. Sunil Sharp, spokesperson from the Give Us the Night campaign. Thanks to both of you for joining us on Newstalk Breakfast.